Hmm. Still no audio. Oh,
Hello, hello.
done it.
Oh, you can hear us now?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, there you go.
And the recording is in progress. Hey, Brittany, do you have a hard stop coming up soon?
I have no. I have a meeting with my assistant at 4, but I told her we might run a little bit over. So,
Okay,
um,
that's all right.
yeah, we should be good if we go past that a little bit.
Great. Well, today has been a series of tests to find
Yeah,
out how bad I want it.
there you go.
And so, actually, this whole week has, and I really appreciate your patience. I am having to pull up my script for the show on my OneDrive here on my phone because I'm using the studio's technology here. Um, there it is. Okay. What is this? Oh, didn't recognize my own show format document. It looks so official. I thought I was getting some sort of a warning or something. Uh, okay. Thank you so much. All right. You ready?
Yes.
Uh, Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Full Disclosure Podcast. I am your most grateful host, Paris Vahan Miles, and today we have Brittany Fields of Southern Oregon Creative Solutions. This episode is brought to you by Southern Oregon Creative Solutions because selling your home shouldn't have to be that hard, and is also brought to you by the Association for the American Association for Women in Community Colleges of Rogue Community College Clothing Sale. Stay tuned. There will be more on that in future episodes as well. So, Brittany Fields is a real estate investor who has built herself a team. I am currently a member of Brittany's team.
That's right.
She has taken me on as an acquisition specialist for her real estate team, and it has been a life-altering experience. It has not only taught me a lot about what I'm capable, but has given me the courage to pursue other things in life as well. And I wanted to take the opportunity to learn more about Brittany's story because she has taken the opportunity to make that bet on herself. Um, and Brittany is a mother. She does have a full-time job, and uh, I
In a
believe,
business.
and a business. And tell us a little bit more about how you got started in that. Did you go to school for business?
For business, yes, not for real estate specifically. At my normal W-2 9 to 5 job, I am an auditor for a bank. Um, I spend my days, looking at other people's problems essentially and looking for problems and looking at, various different documents. It's very, very challenging, but also very rewarding. Um, and with that comes a fair amount of business knowledge. And in order to kind of level up my career, I've done things such as, go to school to get my bachelor's degree. And I also have my certified anti-money laundering specialist.
Wow.
Um, I am a certified internal auditor. And then I also have my MBA. So that, although isn't directly related to my business in real estate, it has taught me a lot about developing systems and looking for risk or gaps and kind of plugging those gaps and how to really scale in a way that is safe.
Mm, amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Brittany. I know so much more about you already. Thank you so much. Now, something I think is kind of fun is to ask my guests if they happen to be aware of a fun fact that may be related to why you succeed, or just something that makes you you.
Um, yeah, so this is what I will share because you and I had kind of talked about this, Paris, and I had to think it through a little bit. But I did not realize this until about a year ago. I was diagnosed with ADHD,
Mm,
um, which I knew I was different. I knew I was more tenacious than most people.
mhm,
I knew that I didn't know it was called hyperfocus at the time, but I knew that I could get into these intense flow states where I would get a ton of work done. And I would go down these crazy rabbit holes learning these things, but I never was able to really channel it into anything. I mean, that's not true. I was able to kind of, have a few small businesses before, but nothing consistent and lasting until I found real estate. And then it was like, oh, with real estate, there's constantly that ability to grow and learn more and expand more, even more so than with a lot of other business models. So, um, as much as it is, not typical, obviously, that's why they call it neurodivergent.
mhm.
Um, it is also, I will say, a superpower once you learn to kind of channel it into things that are productive, and work around some of the difficulties in focus and concentration. Once you kind of learn to work with those weaknesses, you can really hone into your strengths. So that's the fun fact about me is I feel like that's what's helped me be successful. In spite of it and, because of it.
Absolutely. Wow, that's so powerful, Brittany. Thank you so much. And you're reminding me of a phrase that I have been using more and more recently, and it's that is a thing like, well, I used to say, well, it's a blessing and a curse, right?
Yes,
But perhaps a thing is only a blessing and a curse until you know how to use it properly, and then it becomes just a blessing.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And so that's been definitely helping me with owning who I am and
Yeah,
being strong in my person, you know? Yeah. Thank you so
I
much for
like that.
sharing that.
Yeah, once you know how everyone has weaknesses,
Hmm.
and once you can recognize those and work around them, I feel like anybody can be unstoppable.
Wow. Did you always feel that way?
Um, yes and no. I have always been very tenacious and stymied by people who are not. Not in a negative way, just kind of Well, this is easy for me. Why isn't it easy for everyone? So it did take me a little while to learn that I am tenacious kind of because of who I am and that ADHD diagnosis. But the more that I learn about myself and the more that I've thrown myself into uncomfortable situations and allowed myself to grow, the more that I've really grasped onto kind of what you're saying about, oh, I do this when I get mad. How can when I get frustrated or overwhelmed, how can I take that and turn it into something positive? Or how can I prevent that? So, I will say that it's always been kind of in the back of my mind, but really ramped up the more that I've grown.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Mm, wow. Okay. So it would appear as though that certainly played in your favor when it came time for you to decide to start your own business. We'd love to learn more about how that happened for you. Was it something that just kind of came up? Did someone recommend it? Were you always thinking about getting into real estate?
No, so my husband and I had a baby in 2022. And we were living in a very, very, very small house. It was too small for two people, let alone three, and a
Mm,
cat. So we had to move. And I mean, it was when, that kind of post-COVID time where the market was really, really hot. And so the price of houses was steep. So we were looking at the houses that were on the market and thinking, wow, we can get something that's basically the same as we're living in now and still pay more. Or we can get something a little bit better, but it's kind of out of our budget. So we found this house that we're living in now, which is 2 stories, and the bottom story had kind of a pre-built apartment with a separate entrance, like its own private entrance. So we thought, perfect. Now we can get the house that we want. We'll live upstairs. We'll move someone in downstairs. And then that'll offset our mortgage and make it to where it is in our budget.
yeah.
So that's what we did. And we've been renting out the downstairs of our house to traveling nurses now for let's see, about 3 years, and that has gone very well. I promise there's a point of this story. Um,
I believe there is, of course.
about about a year ago, I guess a little more than a year ago now, we were looking at that going, well, we really want to expand, but we just we don't have the capital to put onto a down payment for a rental. How could we possibly expand? And we ended up going to an Airbnb conference that was in Montana.
Hmm.
And just because we wanted to really hone our existing offerings, we wanted to get more travel nurses interested. We had an RV that we were also renting out on Airbnb at the time. And so we were like, we just want to just really refine our operations. So let's go to this, learn all there is to know. And maybe we'll figure out someday how to expand. Maybe.
Right.
And we were very fortunate that Pace Morby was a guest speaker at this event. And I don't know if our listeners know very much about Pace Morby. I'm going to assume not. He's definitely someone worth looking up, though. He talks a lot about and teaches how to get into real estate for little to no money down, or using kind of creative strategies to use other people's money.
Mhm.
And so we just kind of looked at each other and said, "Oh my gosh!" Like light bulb moment. And so my husband and I both just really hit the ground running and have been unstoppable ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so glad you said that because I have plans on attending the live event on the Creative Nation tour.
Yes.
He'll be in Bend in Portland on the 18th and 19th of this month, February 2026. And I sure am hoping that it's going to be a life-altering experience. It seems as though it has been for people
A lot
that,
of people.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's incredible. Yeah. And, I want to take a moment and point out how you were telling your story and you felt compelled to say, I promise there's a point to
It's
all of
going
this.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it made me think a lot of myself, actually. I saw a lot of myself in that. Um, One of the things that I've had to struggle with is thinking that, Paris, it's taken you so long to finally get something up off the ground, you know? How many times have you tried? A lot of people don't know that there have been other attempts at creating a podcast for me. This is not my first. I didn't just all of a sudden sit down and start a podcast show and now
Yeah.
I'm having success. This is actually maybe my third or fourth attempt at a podcast show. It's just that the first three times had been for someone else and there were extenuating circumstances and it wasn't for me, right? Once I finally decided to start a podcast show for me and what I believe I need and what others could benefit from as well,
Yeah.
it's when it actually began to stick. But it was a long story that actually goes all the way back to theater arts in high school, if you will,
Wow.
right? So I think it's important for us to realize that every entrepreneur's journey has its own timeline, right?
Correct.
And I think a lot of people have um, this built up schedule or timeline that they're supposed to have certain things completed by in life. And if they're not done by that time, that they're behind. And now there's questions of, am I capable or am I even worth this thing I desire to do?
Correct.
And I think it's important to understand that sometimes, yeah, maybe it will take a little bit longer for you, but it's important not to give up on yourself and to be open to the possibilities. Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, I want to, I guess, more for the listeners, but also for your benefit as well, is
Sure.
let you know it took me 11 months to get my first deal.
Mm,
So I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs especially, jump into something and they hope for and expect immediate results.
yeah,
But that's not the case. In the beginning for me, it was a lot like trudging through mud. I say that all the time. It was a lot like trudging through mud because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what questions to ask. I was so nervous on every call. I told you that my goal for a long time was just to make one call a day because I thought, gosh, I can be uncomfortable for 15 minutes.
yeah,
Um, it's harder to sit down for an hour and make calls and talk to people when I don't know, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. Um, but what happens is through putting in the reps, you get better and better and better over time, and you start building this snowball effect. So it took me 11 months to get my first deal, but now we tried to sit down and count like 2 nights ago how many units we have in escrow, and it's around 60 units in escrow through various multifamily deals. So it's like we went from nothing for 11 months to now all of a sudden we can't keep up.
yeah.
So I just, if there's someone out there who's listening and thinking, gosh, I can't do this, or gosh, I don't even have my first deal yet. It's more about consistency than speed at the beginning,
Mm.
fortunately.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I agree. Yeah, consistency is key and just sticking with it and letting all of the mistakes and the hardships and the roadblocks and the hiccups and busted lips and
Yeah,
whatever it is you need to have happen, just take it all in stride, and it's very
yeah,
difficult to do, but I think knowing why you're doing something, what is it for? What
yeah,
drives you to get this done? I think that's a key aspect to sustaining entrepreneurship. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that, Brittany, because it's not always easy, and a lot of what people see is the highlight reel, right? The part that people want to celebrate
exactly,
and show
exactly.
off, like, look at me now. But what a lot of people, I think, really what they needed to see was you back then when you didn't want anyone to see. You
I
know?
was not posting on social media at that time. No one knew what
Sure,
I was doing. I was
sure.
quietly doing it in the background.
Yeah, yeah. And there are some who have the courage to kind of document themselves from the garage as
Yeah.
they build, and I'm kind of taking a note from those people,
Yeah.
trying to, the way I like to describe it is I'm building my rocket ship on the way to the moon, you know?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's how it feels sometimes, for sure. A little scary, a
Yeah.
little exciting, but it'll be very rewarding once all the pieces come together.
Yeah, I agree. All the pieces. And that's important, I think, to know too, well, actually, I'll take it back to I've been attending some webinars from a group called Rethink Academy. And the webinars were about joining their group and using their platform. But a lot of the stuff that they shared was actually about managing your mindset in terms of um, understanding the challenges in life, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I was trying to remember what all they actually had an acronym. That's why I spaced out there for a moment, but RETHINK, right? And I believe R, I'm not sure if it's rest. I can't remember. Earn, Tau, um, shoot, I'll have to look it up. I'm not doing them any justice. So
I was gonna
Rethink
say I'm not
Academy,
familiar with it.
RETHINK. Um,
Okay.
and all that thinking took me away from the point I was making. But, done is better than perfect, which is actually a motto that I'm trying to live by here as well.
Yep.
And I think that that helps to withstand the hardships of the early stages of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I think that perfectionism is the enemy of progress. And sometimes wanting things to be perfect or waiting for things to be perfect prevents anything from ever happening when really the imperfection could be what helps to give that thing its value, right? Like
Right.
the Japanese have a practice of like if a piece of pottery gets broken, they put gold bands in the cracks of the pottery and put it back together. I cannot remember the name of it, but the idea behind it is that the fractures and the cracks of the broken pottery make it unique and special, and now it has more value, which is why they use gold to glue it back together.
Okay.
And I do feel like with human beings, that's important, right? I think that when there's no resistance, you kind of you end up showing up soft, right?
Yeah.
But when you experience resistance and hardship and adversity, you get hardened by that and you become able to withstand harder challenges, right? And I feel like some of the people who are the most successful, not just in business, but just in enjoying their life, are often people who've experienced a lot of hardship because they realize that this is all just stuff. And what really matters is meaningful connection with other
Right.
beings, right?
Right.
And there seems to be, actually, I worked at a farm one time, and this guy, he used to say, embrace the suck. I hated him for it. Embrace the suck. What are you talking about? I don't want to embrace the suck. I want to go home. This sucks.
Yeah.
Right? But now, all these years later, wow, embrace the suck. I think that's kind of like a secret ingredient to becoming resilient and in achieving our goals.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you were also talking about parts too. So you had mentioned Pace Morby. I don't know if our listeners know much about Pace Morby. I haven't spoken about him much, but that is also how I found you, right? Pace Morby
Right.
is
Hmm.
his YouTube show, and I saw him take Maddie from a shelter, and then she owned her own property, and it was a case study. I followed the case study. I posted online, and I'm not exactly sure how all of it happened. It's kind of a blur now, but through following those steps, you and I got connected through social media
Hmm.
and through the free Facebook group on Pace Morby's um, creative finance community. Um, and the way he does it is that it's all team based, right? And that's one of the things that really drew me to the community is that there's the transaction coordinators, the people who do the paperwork, right? And then there's the lenders, the people who move the money, and then there's the bird dog, the people who find the deals, and then there's the owners club, the people who buy and hold the property, and everyone kind of works together as this amazing cohesive group.
Yeah.
I identify as a bird dog, someone who finds the deals for investors. What do you identify with? Like, are you into lending as well, or do you like to do the transaction coordination?
No, I'm not. I've done lending. It's not where my passion lies. I am also, I am not, an integrator paperwork type person at heart, despite being an auditor. What I like about auditing is the use of the brain, not necessarily the paperwork.
Sure.
Um, so transaction coordinator, I immediately knew I was like, that's not for me.
Mhm.
I have really been taking on a more of a closer role and, trying to get the deal across the finish line. I'm really relationship oriented, so I work with a lot of wholesalers who are bringing me deals too, and that's something that I find that I enjoy and I'm good at.
Mhm.
Um, as I scale, I'd like to take a little bit of a step back more and maybe bring in a closer for our own team so that I'm not kind of carrying the entirety of the load, but for right now, that's kind of the role that fits me the best.
Mhm. Awesome. That could actually be a natural uh, position for you to end up, I think, right? If eventually, if you're closing deals and you get to a point to where you're able to continue to build your team, you'd want to build something that's able to run on its own without you, so
Yes.
that you could move on to other things, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Absolutely. That sounds great. So, by the way, it would appear as though, yes, Brittany Fields of Southern Oregon Creative Solutions is currently looking for a hard-hitting closer.
Yes.
That would be
Send them
you.
my way.
If you would like to speak with her, and we'll be sharing her contact details in the description below in the video. Normally, a lot of the people I've interviewed are budding entrepreneurs. And a question I like to ask them to give them an opportunity to voice themselves is if they are looking for an investor.
Hmm.
Now, you, in your position, um, kind of are the investor.
Right.
Um, oh, I've lost the video here. You still there?
Yeah.
It's okay. There we go. So,
I
humble.
don't know what happened.
It's okay. So, if you are not looking for an investor at the moment, what sort of connections or resources would you be looking to establish in your community?
Right now, looking for a closer. I'm always looking for more people to, pick up the phone and do some, I guess cold calling is the best way to describe it, although the leads that we are calling are not really cold. They're expired listings, and we've done a little bit of outreach on our end
Sure.
as well. I'm also looking for people who, maybe have a deal that they want to offload or they need help getting a deal across the finish line, please let me know. I'm happy to, act as a consultant on that or, kind of help you get the deal where it needs to be in order for you to move forward and make some money yourself. So I'm here to not only lend a helping hand, but if you have a deal you need to take off your plate, send it my way.
Great. Excellent. All right. And I am going to pause right there for just a moment because I have a few minutes left on the Zoom thing and it's probably going to close on us. We'll just click right back in and continue this
Okay.
since it's almost over here. And then we're going to pause again, as that's where I'm going to edit and cut that out. Okay. So, what Brittany needs is for you to bring her your deals.
That's right.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And so now, what would you have to say to someone who would be a current or a future client or customer?
Um, I think, people don't know a lot about real estate in general. They think that, the way to sell a house is to call a realtor and, list it on the market and hope you get a good offer. But there are a lot more ways out there to sell a house, either with or without a realtor. I have no issues with realtors, although we don't work with them personally. Um, there's a lot of options out there. And I think that even realtors themselves don't always know that. They don't know about some of these creative methods that we're using. So, what I would say is just to make sure that you really fully understand your options. Look at creative finance strategies. Look at what traditional home sales are, currently in your market, so you know roughly what you would get on the traditional market. Really just learning about your options so that you can make an informed decision about what's best for you and not just what, your agent is saying.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brittany. That's, I think, may actually, I hope, bring some relief to folks. I think there could be a lot of anxiety, and I think that you called it the pre-MLS jitters once
Yeah.
about folks, looking to get on it. So it starts even before you put your house on the market.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think being able to realize that there are more options available to you and having access to savvy investors like yourself who understand these options and are able to help walk sellers and buyers through understanding their deals is so valuable. To go back to Rethink Academy, one of the things that they shared was to bring in the wisdom of the owl. Instead of thinking, how can I do this? Or what's it going to take? Think about who can help me figure this out? Who can show me what I need to know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I like that. I
Yeah.
use that a lot.
Absolutely.
Your network is your net worth, after all.
Your network is your net worth. Wow,
Yep.
that's a layup. I'm going to slam dunk it here. And I'm going to ask you it, Brittany. Would you be willing to share with us a key piece of advice to our fellow and aspiring entrepreneurs?
I think we already touched on it. The biggest thing that I would say is what you said earlier. So many people want to have all of the answers and know all of the things before they even get started, but as an entrepreneur, you can't operate that way.
Mm.
So I think a lot of times the answer is to start and, get your lip busted, as you said, a little bit. Um, Knowing that, if you are working with the right people, you're going to be learning along the way, and hopefully, those injuries, as we call them, will be minor, because you have those right people lined up. So I think it's really just about taking action.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, I'm actually modeling another show here. However, I think this has been powerful for me. So if neither one of us woke up this morning, what do you think would be your final words of wisdom attached to your legacy? If you were to have something, what would be your legacy quote?
Oh gosh, I don't know. That's a rough one. I need to say something. I feel like I need to say something profound, but
Just something well, something for me. Here's a quote that I would have given. Heights reached and kept by great men were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night. That was a quote that was given to me by a babysitter when I was a teenage boy. Anyone ever give you a little quote like that when you were young that you think might actually be associated with how you've managed to get to where you are today?
maybe. Um, there's one that I do come back to quite often, but it's one that we've already touched on again.
Okay.
It's at the end of the day, it's about progress, not perfection.
Hmm.
When I was going to school, one of the instructors said that in it was a recorded video, but it was at the end of the day, it's about progress, not perfection. And so I took that and applied it to my health at first and, made great strides in my health. And then I took that and applied it to, you know, my real estate journey and then the next thing and the next thing. So I think that's probably it.
Wow. Brittany Fields, this has been an amazing experience, hopefully for the viewers, but myself as well. I am profoundly moved. I'm probably going to have to watch this episode a few times really to break all this stuff down today. There's a lot. Thank you so much for sharing yourself today. And again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us here at the Full Disclosure. Remember, done is better than perfect. I need you
Right.
to succeed
Yep.
because I win when we win. If you have a hard time doing it for yourself, then do it for me. Peace.
I like that.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah.
All right, we'll call that the end of the show. We've got another minute and 20 seconds left. Is there anything you want to say?
No, but great job with the timing. A minute and 20 seconds left.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Brittany. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And
All
I'll
right.
send you the link when the show's edited and everything. It's good to go.
Okay. That'd be great. Yeah, I'd like to share it.
Absolutely. Me
All
too. Peace.
right. Thanks.
Okay, let me record that or get it so I didn't press any buttons. Let me see the recording.